Hey y'all, welcome back to Let's Talk About It, Courtney Carroll. I am your host, Courtney Carroll. I am your licensed therapist in Washington State and North Carolina. I am a connection coach, life coach, and I am so excited that you're joining me. If this is your first time, welcome. Thanks for joining us. If you are a returning viewer, client, friend, acquaintance, thanks. I appreciate you and your support. I'm excited today, you guys. We're going to talk about it. Let's talk about getting to kind of breaking down anger and going to the root causes. And I know that's kind of funky, but what I kind of think about is let's cut the cake. And why do we do the things we do? Why does anger show up? And this all stemmed from a client I just got off with. And not her specifically. I work with a lot of emotions. A lot of emotions. Of course I deal with emotions. I'm a therapist. I know. But what a lot of people don't know, at least in my professional opinion as a therapist, is I don't always go in with a game plan in therapy. But this is a client, I saw her last week, and she had asked me to remind her of what we wanted to work on this week. And Lord, I swear, I don't always remember this, but today I was like, oh my gosh, I have to grab that note because I remember her wanting to say this. And I'm going through my notes, which I am old school. I handwrite all my notes. And she pops on the screen. I was like, oh, hey, I'm just grabbing that note. You said you wanted to work on something. And then she just looks at me and goes, ugh. I'm like, what? And she goes, forget about it. So much life has happened and I'm in it. We're in it. And I'm looking at the notebook right now. I literally go, okay. I toss it. We, as a therapist, and coach, by the way, you all live busy lives. I get 1 hour, sometimes a few of them, I get 90 minutes, especially couples. That's all I have in a whole week. I have no idea what's happened with my client since the week before. And sometimes people ask therapists, I've been asked this too, don't you have a plan? Even when I sometimes do, it's out the door. I threw the notebook. And then you just kind of have to jump in. And again, that's why we kind of call the podcast, my best friend and I that named it, is Let's Talk About It, is because there's not really a game plan. If you've been a viewer before, you know these are not scripted. In fact, I'm late this week. I will be honest with you. I usually record Tuesday, Wednesday, and pop it up Thursday afternoon, if not Friday mornings. And y'all, it is Friday and I'm recording because that's how my life is lifing this week. And the only thing I can say with that is I just want to be consistent. And I'm like, well, it's meant to be Friday then, because that's where I have time for it. And I'm so glad I waited, because this is a perfect example of what I experience a lot in the room. Her and her partner got in a big fight. I see them as a couple. A lot of therapists see a couple as a couple and then see individuals as extensions of what they're working on. They're called breakout sessions. And I've been working with her on different aspects of their relationship. And today, she's like, why am I so angry? Perfect question. I want to go into that. And I used such a fun example, and I kind of hinted at it a couple minutes ago, is anger, frustration, lashing out, reactive stuff. It's called a secondary emotion. Why is it called a secondary emotion? Because the primary is under. So I told her, I'm like, it's kind of like a cake. I know it's crazy, but I've never used this metaphor or this example, analogy, whatever the correct terminology is for that, until today in this session. One, if you know me personally, I'm not the biggest cake person, but I do occasionally like a piece or a cupcake. It's probably more my jam, to be honest. And I was telling this client, I was like, anger is the icing on the cake. It is this outside exterior, and it's still yummy. And if you are a cake decorator, I have one of my best friends, Nicole, is the coolest, best cake decorator. She creates masterpieces, and it is beautiful. But it is what's seen on the outside. Sorry. And anger is like that. It's like what dresses up on the outside. The root issue, the root problems, that's the cake. And luckily for me, my friend Nicole makes bomb cakes, so the cake is just good to the outside. Great. Well, the cake, and I used an example of carrot cake because I love carrot cake, is the inside. It's the gooey, yummy, moist. I don't love that word, but I'm going to use it. It's the real stuff, like the real stuff. Like icing's great, but if the cake's awful, no one's eating the cake, right? So that's what I'm using an example today, and I hope talking about it today helps you. So I'm angry, I'm pissed, I'm hurt. Get it? Angry, pissed, hurt. Now we've officially cut the cake. What am I hurt about? And I didn't even mean to plan it that way. The primary emotions are usually sadness, heartache, lonely, those vulnerable words that we don't always show the rest of the world, including our own marriages and our relationships, right? And that's the vulnerability, and it's hard to talk about hard things. Like, do I want to be vulnerable? Do I want to tell my partner I'm sad when really, like, I'm upset? Shouldn't they know that I'm upset, kind of thing? And where did we learn that? With her specifically, I connect a lot with it. So I'm going to transition, instead of talking about my client per se, I'm going to talk about my experience. It is really hard to talk about vulnerable things with people. Just like my client, she's one of the younger kids in the family. I'm one of 6. I'm the second youngest. My parents were a little crazy. They're not all biological. I have 2 step siblings, and we merged our blended family when I was around 10. And before my stepmom came in, who I refer to as mom, just so we have that, my dad was a single dad. My mom was a drug addict. And I learned very young not to need things, not to be vulnerable about things. I learned like a hyper independence that I somehow in my chemical makeup, I learned or decided from between like 4 to 7. I think that's the magical age. And I'm going to dive into that for a second. Like, this is not research specific. This is my professional experience and understanding of humans. Is 4 to 7 is when we really understand emotions and are able to speak to it. For example, I have a beautiful 4.5-year-old. Her name's Hazel. I'm crazy. I love her. And she's brilliant, y'all. Like, she's brilliant. And Hazel now at 4.5 can tell me how she's feeling. I'm sad, I'm frustrated, and can explain things to me. Whereas a year ago, it showed up more as a tantrum or a breakdown or crying or acting out in whatever way. And now she can tell me. So between 4 to 7, we learn emotions and we learn how people respond to them. Somewhere along the line, myself and several of my clients, not the one I was just speaking to today, we learned not to ask for help. We learned that was either a burden or maybe our parents weren't around. My dad worked a lot. My mom was a drug addict. Like, I learned this young, to not be needy, right? And honestly, it's worked really well for me. I am a very independent person to my detriment. And I think that's important to understand, is sometimes when we learn, even though it works and it's sufficient and it gets us to adulthood, it does some damage along the way too, is we learn not to ask for help. I was married before, if you haven't tuned into a podcast before, and I was very independent in that relationship. I was dependent, like we worked really well as a team, and there was years where I was dependent on him for sure financially because I was in grad school and everything, which was really hard for me to be that dependent. But before then, like, everything kind of fell to me, and not because he didn't want to. My ex-husband was he's active duty military. He'd deploy, he would train. He's gone a lot, and that's where I like exceeded. I was great at, like, it's okay, I'll double down, I got it. I always just would do it. And even when he wanted to help, like, I'm like, no, it's fine. I'll fix it. I got it. I don't need help. It's fine. And it worked, and it like kind of stamped on like I was doing a good job with it because he knew he could count on me in a good way. Like, that's not a bad thing to say. But I learned, I'm like, okay, this is how to show people I love them or take care of things. And similar to my clients, like, I'm just constantly taking care of everyone. And it's just what I'm used to, so I'm going to do it. And then if our partner is not supportive or helping or taking care of, and this happened with a couple of my clients this week, they get angry or they feel unappreciated, or like they want to be taken care of, they want to be loved, they want something from this, right? And they don't know how to say that. They don't know how to say, can you please take care of me? I know I struggle with that personally, especially as a mom. Like, hey, can you take care of me? Like, can you just love on me? Can I feel cherished today? You know? And that's a really hard thing to ask for anyone. And sometimes like partners use it against you. Like, not all fights are supposed to be intentional or malicious or anything. But when I would consider myself a withdrawer, and I am speaking of a couple of my withdrawer clients, we learned not to need people. And when we do need them, it makes us feel exposed and vulnerable. And if we do ask for help, what happens if they do or don't, you know? And that's not really what we call the pursuer. We always end up pursuer withdrawer 96% of the time. This is emotion focused therapy if you're not familiar with it and you're curious about it. It's a big part of my therapeutic approach is attachment based. And just like my client, when she asked me like, how do I not be angry? What's the root of this? That's why we're talking about it today, because it's something I've gone through as not just a therapist or but as a person. We learned very young to do things the way they do, right? And learning strong independence has helped my clients and myself really well. I have a master's. I have 3 degrees. I have a master's degree. I'm a single mom. I run this house. I take care of my daughter. Even when her dad and I lived close to each other, 80+% of the time, I do morning drop-offs, pickups, dinners, grocery shopping, everything. Even when we were married, I just go. And I'm thinking a lot of some of my female clients, like they're constantly running the households and everything because 1, they're good at it, or 2, they don't mind, or whatever story and set up how they did in their relationships. But the big thing today was like, why am I so angry? Because they either don't know how to ask for help. I'm scared to ask for help. Will they actually show up for me? And what does it mean if they do, don't, or all the above? Whew. It's way harder to ask for help than just expect to just do it on your own. I know that's crazy to think about. I can imagine some of my other clients, my pursuers, would be like, just ask, like, tell me. I know my ex would have been like that. Yeah, if you ask me, I can do those things. And it's almost harsh to expect them to be telepathic to do those things, right? Of course they can't. I always say that in couple sessions too. Your partner is not telepathic. You do have to communicate your need. And for a lot of independent people, it's easier to be angry than ask for help. Or if they do ask for help, what happens? And if especially the partner doesn't do it or hears it, like, hey, will you help me with this? I really just want to be taken care of. And they don't, kind of double downs on that belief and your gut feeling like it's not safe to ask for help. Because even when I ask my partner, my husband, my wife, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my partner, and they don't do it, then I really learn that I have to do it all by myself. It's like a feedback loop. It's like the infinity sign, right? It just keeps going back and back. And the other partner has their own needs and they're waiting for you to show it up. And then it's so hard to give fuel from an empty tank. And I don't always love using like cheesy sayings, but you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't run on fumes and expect your car to operate properly, right? So if you're out there, you're angry, you're frustrated at the world, cut the cake, cut it in half, right? I know, I heard that girl, Courtney, she's a little crazy. She talks with her hands, she talks fast, she talks loud, I don't know, whatever it is about me. Or my clients, like that therapist of mine, Court, you know, let's cut the cake. What's really going on inside of me? I'm kind of drowning, or I don't like to always be taking care of things. And I've learned in the last couple, since my divorce, like I don't. Even if it was my primary role the whole time, I want to be taken care of. And a couple of my clients this week, we were talking about the same thing. Like, they want to be taken care of. What does that look like? Asking for help sucks if you're independent. It does. And if you're already married, it's hard to introduce a new idea, or partnered. Like, it doesn't have to be marriage. It's hard to introduce a new need. Like, my ex would have been like, Courtney's so independent. My dad, he like tells people I'm independent. And it is probably it's a bittersweet deal. It's like a double-edged sword. Like, it's my strongest thing that I am independent. And it's also my weakest point, is because I struggle asking for help, and then I get angry that no one's helping me. Or if I have asked and they didn't, like, and they don't show up, is this true? It kind of like reiterates the story, double downs the narrative, you know? So if you're angry and you're hurt, and maybe you're like me and a couple of the clients I'm referring to today, and you're like, I don't want to be responsible for it all. I want to feel cherished. I want to feel like the one that's being taken care of. Good. Write it down. I want to feel taken care of. What does that look like? A lot of more independent people, like, they usually do dinner time. I wonder if my partner can take over dinner time, you know? Or what's a good, like, pick up, drop off from the kids, even though it's convenient for me. Can you do it so I can have 10 extra minutes at home, or whatever that looks like for you? Or I'm always the one that's planning the dates or getting the babysitter. Gosh, I'm talking about parents a lot today. And this, if you're single or you're dating, like, I don't think it applies to you being single necessarily. It's something for you to look at if you're single, but if you're in a relationship, and I don't care who you are in the relationship, which partner and which role you are you always the one making the effort? Are you always the one making the plans, scheduling the dates, making sure everything lines up? If you are, chances are you could get better about it. Or you can lead to anger, and that's why you fight, and then the partner feels blindsided because you always do this. Just because you always do it doesn't mean you always want to. And there will be episodes where I talk more about the pursuer side and that experience. Because again, a withdrawer like myself, or a very hyper independent person, has to be able to communicate the need and to have it received well. I know it's a big one. And sometimes what I would say to the other partner is like, validate the need. For a woman to want to be taken care of, it is not a personal attack. It's like, I'm just thinking of women in my head. It's not a personal attack that you're not doing, especially providing. Like, it's easy for me to refer to my marriage because I was married for 11 years together, 13, 14 years. It's so easy for me to know that. But my ex could not read my mind, and if I needed something, I had to ask for something. And if I didn't, I can't expect him to like ace the test that he doesn't even know that he's taking, you know? So learning to say, what is the cake? What do I need? What's going on? Why does it feel vulnerable to ask for it? Why is it vulnerable to ask your partner for something you need? Going back to childhood, and I think I kind of hinted at this already, you learned along the way not to. You know, I'm the second youngest child of 6, like I said. I learned early on, like, one, my siblings took a lot of attention. Not a bad thing. Every kid needs attention. I learned not to be needy, right? I learned not to be the kid that needs more, because I see how that goes. So I'm going to, instead of communicate with my parents because I didn't know how to, like, hey, sometimes it's hard to be the second youngest because I feel like you're exhausted by the time you get to me. And not a bad thing. My parents did the best they could with the best they had. And they had 4 kids before me in that order. And there's like order and ways to tackle things. I could never have 6 kids. I have 1. And I tell my friends all the time, if you have more than 1 or 2, like, you're amazing. 1 is hard in the best way possible. You know, I manage my life and my daughters and co-parent with my ex-husband, and that's hard. School breaks everything, and people that do it with multiple, hands down to you. So there's no judgment. And when you look at your parents, and I always say this to clients, I said to both of my clients that I had this morning, when we go back to the childhood, I am not talking shit about your parents. I'm not talking shit about mine. But we learned something there. We learned if we went to the room crying that there might not be someone coming. Not because they didn't love us, because they had other kids. And maybe we'd cry it out or get over it and come back to. And we learned to. And what I learned as a mom now is I don't avoid my daughter's feelings at all. I go to her. I sit in the emotions. It's hard sometimes, but love on her a little extra because it's something I didn't have. And what's great is I didn't have it, so I can give it now and kind of get the healing that comes from that too, you know, being a source of stability for my daughters. So it's like the biggest honor of my life, literally. And becoming therapist and being that person in my client's life, it's such a rewarding field. And it's like, you almost pick it selfishly as a therapist, you know, like healed people, or healing people wants to help heal people. And that's what I love about a lot of people in the therapeutic therapy and coaching world, is we want to help other people. But first it starts with yourselves. And that's why I went back to the cake. You're angry, upset, and frustrated. This podcast is for you. What's going on? Slice that cake open. What's not being met? What needs are not being met by you? Well, I always take care of everyone else I want to be taken care of. Yes, that would be nice and honestly essential for a good relationship. Okay, I want to be taken care of. What does it look like? For me, I love the idea, and I am very much single and not dating right now. Maybe that would be a partner. I'm sure I've said this, like, my favorite thing my ex-husband ever did was pour me coffee in the morning. Like, I loved that. We had a Keurig 1-cup maker. He would bring it to me. Love. I would tell clients when we were married, like, that was the sexiest thing my husband could do, because it was. I felt cared for. Great. Now I want something to do that in the relationship in my future. Do the grocery shopping. That would be nice. I always just did it in my relationship because it was easier for me. But maybe it would be nice in my next relationship to do that. Or if you're married or you're dating, like, how do you ask for that? And maybe start off the conversation as like, hey, I want to talk to you about what's been going on with me. I hate that I've been upset, frustrated, and not having a lot of patience. I've learned that there's a need I didn't know I needed, that I want to share with you. Are you open to hearing it? Set them up for success. Are you open to hearing, I have a need, and I know you're over me being upset, bitter, frustrated, not wanting to have sex, not all these things. Like, you deserve to know what's going on with me, and I want to address it with you. A good partner will want to, like, sit with you in it. I promise. And if they're not, you have to look at that for yourself too. Okay? I mean it. And okay, because a good partner wants to fix issues, and you recognize, like, hey, I've been being a jerk lately, and I realize I don't have a need met, and this is not punishment. They wouldn't know of course, partner, you wouldn't know this because I haven't shared it with you, because I didn't even realize I needed this. Okay? If you were dating me or my ex or whoever you are in my life, like, a lot of people would not assume I would want to be taken care of because I do it well on my own. But that is definitely what me and the clients I've been talking about today have in common. That would be nice. That is what I want in a future partner, is someone to care for me. I can care and return it and double down and do all the things. I need this too. But you have to understand, what does that look like? You know, I don't know if my ex-husband poured me that cup of coffee in the morning because I was awful without it, because I probably was. Or I'm leaning more towards because he did love me and wanted to start my day out well and knew I'm a nicer person and all these things with a cup of coffee. And that goes a long way, and it's something simple. How cool is it that's asking someone, can you make my cup of coffee? Like, that's not the biggest need in the world. You will be one of my easiest clients that week if you had said that to me and I'm working with you as a couple. But it does need to be asked. Like, I now know as a single person, that's what I would ask. Or, hey, I love planning dates, but I really love to be surprised. And to be asked out or have the babysitter planned, you know? And I'm generalizing gender today, so if I'm excluding you, it is not intentional. I'm just speaking to my experience, and a lot of my couples are monogamous, heterosexual couples. So if I'm getting any of these pronouns, anything wrong for you, please give me grace, and also fill in whatever that means for you. Okay? Thank you. I appreciate that. Explain to your partner what they might need, or what it needs to be needed. And sometimes we don't say why. It's hard for me to ask for you to take care of me because I learned very early on that it was a burden to do. What does that mean? Well, when I was a kid, I had this memory. It's like a golden nugget is what therapists say. I don't know why I wanted to share that with you, but I'm gonna trust my gut. Of me being younger and me wanting to have I'm trying to think of like a birthday. I'm actually thinking of a birthday and wanting my birthday celebrated, and thinking my parents are exhausted, I can't ask for that. Or if I did ask, like, we can't all have birthday parties, Courtney. You can't be spoiled. Like, don't be spoiled. There's 6 of you. And I know my parents have said something across the lines that way. And I learned if I had needs or I wanted something that's out of the ordinary, it was being needy or spoiled, and it wasn't met well. And not because they didn't love me, because they had 6 kids. So I'm asking you this for me, partner, because it would really feel good to have that met. And I would love to feel cherished and taken care of. A good partner wants you to feel cherished and taken care of. I promise. So if you have stuck with me, we are almost at 30 minutes. I will most likely attack the pursuer side of the relationship, speak to. Because today I talked more about a withdrawal or an independent person, and then there's going to be a flip side. I don't know if that's next week or not, but we'll definitely get there, I promise. And talk about what it means to cut the cake, see it on their side too. It is hard to grow up in a world where you learn it is a burden to be needy. And if that's you today, I hope you feel heard and seen. And if you are in a good relationship, your partner wants to know. You know, there's a unique opportunity for everyone to only get better at this. The reason why I'm doing the podcast, Let's Talk About with Courtney, is like, so many times I was asked to help other couples or friends or everything, and there's just so many red tape around it. That's also why I started coaching, to help those people, because I want to be able to. This is free, like my give back, my opportunity to give back to my clients and my friends, my whoever out there. If this aligns with you or talks, like, this is supposed to be what you're supposed to hear this. You know what I mean? And how do I get better at it? By just showing up and try, break it down, cut the cake. I'm angry. What's really going on under? So I hope you found this helpful. And if you're out there, if you're looking for a therapist, coach, please holler at me. I am Courtney Carroll. I'm a licensed therapist, again, in North Carolina, Washington State. I specialize in individual and couples relationship work, whether that's with you or your partner. This is what I'm talking about today. If you're not ready for that, follow me on social media. Keep listening to the podcast. This is all for you to get the care you want. I am an owner of Waymark Counseling. You can also coach me with Coach Courtney. Of all the things out there. And I'm just so grateful for you. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for all your feedback. Always ask questions, comment, like, whatever you want to do. And thanks for talking about it. Until next time, y'all.